Hey everyone, Steve here. Welcome to day 14 of my journey into crypto. It's hard to believe that it's already been 2 weeks and almost halfway through my journey, and I have learned so much. And I made this episode today because I want to share my top three lessons that I've learned. And the way I want to share it with you is these are the top three things that I would do if I could start over. I would start with these three things. And I was motivated to do this because I was speaking with a friend the other day and I was sharing my adventures in this whole process. And they were curious. They wanted to get in. And they started to ask me, what would you do first? And it made me think. And I didn't know at the time. I started to distill my thinking down and I came up with these three things that I would do first if I started again. So let's get into it. Top three lessons learned if I started over again today. And I don't think this is the only way to do it. This is just like looking back, what would I have done? Maybe not so much differently, but what would I have focused on if I knew, which I didn't. I was starting from zero then. So let's get into it and see what that means. First of all, 100%, I would set up and fund accounts on several of these central exchanges. If you've been following that, I've been using Binance. I've also set up an account with Coinbase. And I've listed two other just because I'm thinking about setting up accounts with them pretty quickly, crypto.com and CoinGecko. And the reason for doing this right away, the main reason is there's a 10-day waiting process that I had to wait in order for me to move my funds, withdraw those funds off of the exchange and move them on chain somewhere. Now, I know that's not the case in every scenario. I would just happen to be funding these accounts through my linked bank account over ACH. And so those are the rules for these exchanges. You can use a debit card to fund them, in which case I believe it's only a 5-day waiting period. And you can also purchase crypto direct into your wallet with a credit card through MetaMask, for example. But I tried this and it failed for me. I tried 3 different credit cards, they were all declined. So I think there's a lot of challenges to do that for a lot of people. And I'm sure depending where you live, what type of credit card you have, you may be able to do that. So that is a legitimate way to get crypto. But if you're going to go the route that I did and use a central exchange, set that up now and decide how much you're going to put into it and fund it today. And then you're going to sit on it for a while. And then you can start doing the other things. The other reason I think it's helpful to set up with an account right away is there's so much information on some of these big accounts. And I'll get into that in a moment, but there's plenty to learn, there's plenty to do. So it's not time wasted at all. The other thing that you can also play around with is just direct trading on that exchange. So you can just watch the value of crypto assets go up and down. You can actually just do financial trading and get comfortable with that. That wasn't my motivation, but as you watch your portfolio over time while you're waiting for that 10-day period, that your portfolio's gaining or losing in case you bought a cryptocurrency, you're going to see that your portfolio may have gained, it may have lost. So you're starting to look at cryptocurrencies, and that leads you down a path of what makes these go up and down. And then you can start doing some research. So it's a great gateway to get into the world of crypto. So next, education. This is critical. It doesn't stop. I've been sharing with you just a narrow window into what I've been learning. And each day I try to put something together that's meaningful to me. But in between all of these episodes I've been making, I've been reading tons. I've been listening to podcasts. I put one up here called Proof with Kevin Rose. You can go to proof.xyz and get all the information there. By listening to people who are actively participating and actively engaged with, I won't call them experts, but other people who are leaders in the space who are actively creating things, you'll gain insights. And just listening to how they speak about it will level up your skill set, your knowledge base. So for me, I learn really well by listening to podcasts, and I go to articles for getting the how to type information, the step by step. Do this first, then do that. And then that puts me in a place where I can practice and learn by doing. And that's when things are starting to click. And that I cannot emphasize enough. This third one, practice, learn by doing, that'll unlock a lot of these concepts that might have been frustrating at first. They start to make sense. You'll have those aha moments when they click. And you'll feel like you've just made a huge advancement in your learning and understanding of this world of crypto. Another example I would give to you is if you sign up for Coinbase, you can earn cryptocurrency on their exchange just by learning. And that's an incentive to spend some time. And it's not unlike learning anything else. They'll give you a couple paragraphs, they'll give you a quiz. And when you take the quiz and you get it right, you earn some currency that they're talking about. So there's a lot of fun things you can do there, and it's applied. So you understand the incentives. It makes you curious about that currency that you're getting for free. And then you start to go down that path and educate yourself by reading about that currency. So those are some great examples. I do want to point out that I really like the articles on academy.binance.com. Here's a couple examples on the right side of the screen, but they have articles from beginner to intermediate to advanced. And I use these as reference material. I don't really start at the beginning and follow a whole curriculum. But when I'm stumped or I'm just not quite understanding something, I'll do a search. And the articles that they have up here, like what are blockchain transaction fees? That's a great one to look at to understand what these fees are, why they are there. You can dive into what is cryptocurrency. They have a bunch of them and they're really well written. They're short, they're bite sized. So you can read an article in like 2 to 3 minutes. So again, for me, it's reference, but I've come a long way just by reading the articles on academy.binance.com. Next, when I first started out, I started out by creating a wallet, which is fine. I would still do that. I would definitely create multiple wallets. So if you've been following me, I started out with MetaMask. Then I also installed Trust Wallet the other day. I'm looking at some others like Phantom. And of course, you've got the wallets that are associated with your exchange, Coinbase and Binance. They have their wallets separate than the actual account. So it's worthwhile to get these wallets because they will help you to understand the mechanics of how we send and receive currency in the world of crypto. And the other part that they have really helped me understand is just getting a practical feeling comfortable with the different networks, how to move a token over one network, like Binance Smart Chain versus the Ethereum mainnet, understanding the fees associated. So that's when it really starts to click in my mind and helps me make sense of how this type of stuff works. So definitely create multiple wallets. The other thing here is that a lot of these other wallets are multi-chain wallets. So that's going to help you move assets around when you can only use one type of blockchain versus another. And I look back and go, 14 days. Here's where I was. I was just getting organized. I had this kind of grand idea, create a wallet, acquire some currency. I want to go check out some of these marketplace accounts and then figure out where to socialize, communicate, all these Discord things. And I wanted to create an NFT product. This still is guiding where I'm going with this, but I've taken some detours along the way. But at the time, I knew very little. And what you may not have seen in this journey is I made a bunch of mistakes. I got frustrated. I've been confused many times. I've felt that level of overwhelm many times as well. And I went through those moments where I was worried about losing money. And I just start out by doing. That's really my main exercise. I knew that if I started doing things, I would really start to learn at an accelerated pace. And making these videos each day has kept me accountable to stay involved, stay engaged. So I just don't get excited one day and let it go and not touch it again for 2 weeks. And this is where I'm at now. I still know very little, but I know so much more. And the concepts at the beginning that were difficult to grasp are now making a lot of sense to me. And I'm really starting to see the massive potential in this world of crypto. And I'm not talking about just trading currencies. I'm talking about the applications that are being created, the marketplaces that are being created, the different type of products that are being created. This is something that is so much bigger than what I thought it was going to be at the beginning. And I had already thought it was going to be really big. So I've come a long ways. And that's just in 2 weeks' time, 14 days. For me, the priorities are practice, learn by doing. That has been the most instrumental thing for me. I have given myself permission to fail. I know that right now, this technology is still so new. If you're learning about it now, you're really ahead. I really believe that to be true. And also, nobody is an expert. And I say that in a way that, yes, there are experts. There are really smart engineers, really smart developers, and genius people out there who have built this from the ground up. But 99% of the world isn't really engaged in this. They don't know about it. And everybody who's getting involved now is learning, and we're all at some level of beginners. So that's why I put that up there. And it helps me to think about it that way because we're going to learn this together in a way that nobody really knows what's going to be built in the next 1, 2, or 3 or 5 years. Just like when the internet really started getting big, nobody knew what it was going to turn into, and it's taken over our life. It's been a huge impact. So this is my priorities. Just keep doing, keep learning, do something every day, learn something every day, and practice. And it gets easier, it gets faster, it gets more exciting, it gets more fun. So I hope this is motivating for you. As always, leave your questions in the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks and take care.